Online survival RPG, base building, multiplayer, co-op. These are all a bunch of words being thrown around in association with Fallout 76, the new features coming to the table, and literally hundreds of thousands of people voicing their opinions on whether or not they like this idea or dislike this idea. I don't want to talk about any of that today. Let's take a step back and look at something a bit different, something we actually know pretty much for a fact that is going to be a part of this game, and the thing I am by far the most excited for, and that's going to be the setting. If you watch the trailer, you pretty much know that Fallout 76 is going to be located in West Virginia, or largely in the greater DC region. It was teased in previous games like Fallout 4, Fallout 3, and through terminal entries we know it is near DC. How near, we don't know. If it's actually in Virginia or West Virginia, we don't actually know, but the trailer makes it seem like it's certainly going to be in West Virginia because, well, the song playing says West Virginia multiple times.
West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain.
That, coupled with the fact that we actually get a date in the trailer on the Pip-Boy, it's like one of the first shots of 2102, makes this, again, by far the most exciting aspect of this new Fallout game, at least for me. 2102 is only 25 years after the bombs dropped, something you've probably heard a lot of other people talk about also. Pretty much every other Fallout game has been 100 years plus. I think Fallout 4 was 210 years after the bombs dropped for context, so it's definitely going to be different. I just hope Bethesda really embraces this, because right off the bat, there's a few implications. A lot of your fan favorite factions pretty much can't appear in this game lore-wise. I'm sure there'll be some retconning from Bethesda. They seem to love to use that actually being retroactive continuity, so making something make sense even though it didn't in the previous lore. Like the reason there's super mutants in Boston for Fallout 4 is the Institute created them and things like that. But for some of them, it's just kind of established. The typical Enclave can't appear in this game. They didn't even leave the Poseidon oil rig for like 100 years after the bombs dropped. The Institute was still in their fundamental stages, and it wouldn't really make sense for them to venture outside of Boston. The Brotherhood of Steel, a fan favorite in almost every single game, is probably not going to be in this one because of the setting, the years, things like that. I'm going to have a full video breaking down which factions and creatures are going to be in this. I really want to do a deep dive on that information, but I actually kind of lied to you about one of these, and one that I'm really excited for is actually the Enclave. So the Enclave as we've known it, and the Enclave as we've actually seen it, can't appear. Again, most of what became the Enclave as we know and love actually went to the Poseidon oil rig, and they didn't leave for 100 plus years, so we can't see them in this game. Yeah, but most of them went there. Some of the Enclave actually didn't go to that Poseidon oil rig on the west coast, and they actually went to other areas. After the bombs dropped and the apocalypse that ensued, the original Poseidon oil rig lost contact with those splinter cells. We have never seen or really heard much about any of those splinter cells, just the fact that they exist and that the original oil rig or headquarters lost contact with them. Obviously this game is going to take place right outside of DC. I think it would be really cool if we get to experience one of those. Them probably identifying as the Enclave, but maybe having a distinctive ideology, or you could play a role in shaping their ideology as it would differ from the other Enclave that you know and love. Even beyond all that, I really hope Bethesda takes advantage of the psychological situation. Over the course of all the Fallout games, most of the people you encounter are, descendants of people that actually were around when the bombs dropped. There's a few exceptions. Obviously there's ghouls for one, and then two, you have people who were in cryo freeze, so, but large in part, the average person you encounter was born and raised in this wasteland. Obviously in this game that wouldn't be the case. If it's only 25 years after the bombs dropped, anybody who's 25 years or older would have been born before the bombs dropped and lived maybe a somewhat normal life for the beginning half, and then the second half is, well, very different. If Bethesda really takes advantage of the psychological impact that having your home destroyed or potentially losing your entire family has on some of these people, I think that'd be really interesting. Hopefully the environments are distinctively more destroyed. Obviously there wasn't as much time to rebuild, and I don't think they'll go this route, but even just having bodies everywhere, or just maybe in one region where there's like a dumping zone, because obviously they're not all going to decompose in 25 years. There'll be maybe only skeletons, but a lot of them will probably still have some flesh to them. I just think in general I'd really love to see this be a darker game overall, because the reality of what just happened is way more near. In all the other Fallouts, you're very far removed from it because, again, society has had a while to begin rebuilding. Well, in this game, although yes, 25 years is definitely a long time, it isn't 210 years or even close. I also hope we just get new factions. I think it could be refreshing to have the game look a little bit different, the people you encounter be a bit different. I bet there's going to be a lot of military personnel, or I guess rather ex-military personnel with the fall of all the major governments and things like that, maybe even some Chinese spies. There was some serious racism going on within the United States before the war, so I think being able to explore that, actually interact with some of the people that experienced that firsthand could be really interesting. And one other thing I would just absolutely love, and I said it in one of my previous videos, but if you actually get to experience parts of DC that we've experienced previously. Obviously Fallout 3 took place in DC, this one's going to apparently be in the greater DC area. I would love to see some overlap. It doesn't necessarily have to be the capital or anything like that, although yes, that would be interesting, but maybe ancestors to some of the characters in Fallout 3, or just some of the areas, the regions that we know and love, getting to re-experience them in a totally different and more ravaged light. I don't know, those are my thoughts on it. This is one of the reasons I am by far the most excited for this game. I think Bethesda has created a huge opportunity for themselves here. I think it could be really freaking cool, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. I'd love to hear your guys' take on this in the comments down below. What are you most excited about this new setting they're establishing here? Even though the location isn't super distinctive or different, the time frame is, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it. As always, again, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.